Good morning, early game crew. Unfortunately, another Gamecock loss. Not in football, because last night, South Carolina and Virginia Tech on the hardwood go to overtime. And that's 3 games against power conference opponents. That's 3 straight losses. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We will be breaking down this basketball game, National Signing Day, and a whole lot more, including, to end this hour, today is the 40th anniversary of something I know Jen Jensen is fond of. And maybe is a good omen for her Chicago Bears. It just might be. So we'll get to that here later on in the hour. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. You know what? I got inspiration from a documentary yesterday, so I would not have thought of this if I wasn't just perusing on HBO during my lunch break.
Cue the nerd sound. That specific sentence. I got inspiration from a documentary.
Yeah, that's true. I might be a nerd
if I got inspiration for a segment from a documentary I just watched when I was eating my lunch yesterday.
Wow, and you're choosing, at lunch to watch a documentary, because like for me it'd be, hey, General Hospital, fluffy something, Hallmark movie.
I found a sports doc that I wanted to watch. Committed to the game. Married to the game. As my girlfriend says, ball is wife.
Yeah, just as long as everybody knows.
That's good. Instead of ball is life, ball is wife.
Ball is wife.
As long as everybody knows. You do.
This is she knows what she signed up for. I texted her and said, hey, I forgot to tell you, I gotta go. I gotta be at CLA tonight for the basketball game. She just texted me back, goes, yeah, that's fine. Ball is wife. And I'm like, you get it. you know what you signed up for. But ball was not wife for South Carolina last night. So many places you can go with this. 86-80, 83 final. Virginia Tech really led for a majority of the game. And South Carolina, despite shooting under 30% from 3, which usually for me coming into the season, I think would have spelled kiss of death in any game. Like if you told me going into last night they shoot less than 30%, and that Neo Avdalis ends up getting, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and they get another double-double from Hansberry, I'm like, okay, you probably lost that game by 10 to 15 points. But Carolina did do an incredible job of getting to the free throw line last night, and I think that's kind of what built their comeback, was they end up fouling Neo out of the game. They fouled another starter out of the game. And then they had Hansberry, who was their leading scorer, and then Adrian Dorn, who was the starting center, who gave Carolina some mismatch problems last night. They both played with 4 fouls in the overtime period. Like, they drew enough fouls to get Virginia Tech into some serious foul trouble and fouled their best player out of the game with just like a minute and a half, 2 minutes to go. And still just not able to make enough plays to win the game, not able to get enough stops to, instead of tying the game late or taking a 2-point lead late, making that a 4 or 6-point lead. Because honestly, last night, I think offensively, they played fine, right? They found offense without having to make a ton of threes. But my biggest concern now is how this team is able to guard teams that are bigger than them, because Virginia Tech did kind of just mismatch hunt for most of the night, and it ended up being pretty successful.
So if you take all of that into account, first off, foremost, how is the Greek kid in person?
There's still some things. I think defensively he's got some flaws. He's not very quick of foot, and there are certain things from a physicality standpoint. Like, he's going to have to put on like 15, 20 pounds of muscle to play in the NBA. But on an offensive creation standpoint, I see it. I see it, because Virginia Tech torched Carolina on the ball screen last night. Just torched them. There are a few times where, very rarely does Lamont Paris ever change out of his ball screen coverage. What Lamont does is always hard hedge, right? So if the guy with the ball is taking the ball screen, usually the guy guarding the screener will jump out and try to push the point guard or whoever's handling the ball out about 5 or 10 feet back and then run back to his man while the person guarding the ball handler recovers to get back in front of him. It's called hard hedging. That is what Lamont Paris has done his entire time at South Carolina. You rarely see him mix up coverages last night. And when I asked him about it last night, he admitted to having to change that up because, A, this team does not have a bunch of guys in that forward spot that hard hedges really well. He didn't say a player by name, but I think he was talking about Norton Capich because Norton Capich only played 9 minutes last night. And Norton Capich is pretty good at pushing the other guard closer to the half-court line and recovering, but Norton Capich was not giving them anything on offense last night. So they went to switching. They blitzed the ball screen a couple times. They tried to get the ball out of his hands, but every single coverage they used on Avdalas, he was getting the ball out, and he was making that pocket pass. He was making or basically creating paint touches and high-quality looks. And he's got a pretty good mid-range jumper. And he gets it off pretty easily because he's 6'9". He's going to have a height advantage over every single guard he plays, even once he gets into ACC play. He definitely had a height advantage over everybody that tried to guard him last night. So while there's still some things he needs to work on, like the offensive creation standpoint is pretty smooth.
Okay. 2. The number that I'm looking at, and it kind of matches with what my eyes see. 54-30 points in the paint.
Yep. Concerning.
That's concerning. And I guess what I'm still trying to figure out the team with, still working through is not as concerning because of your amount of points in the paint, because that's not necessarily the style of offense that we want to play, correct?
Correct. You could still win with 30 paint points. Yeah.
Because that's not, we're more of a perimeter-based team. We're going to be a catch-and-shoot squad, and we want to be able to shoot the ball. We want to be able to shoot the three. Not doing that really well right now.
Oh, yeah, you can't do what you did last night.
Cannot shoot the way we did, but that's not the problem. But the problem is you can't give up that many points in the paint defensively. So offensively, not as much of an issue, but defensively, that's a huge issue.
Yes, and I think one thing that is troublesome for this South Carolina team, one thing that has kind of was their saving grace to keep them in games last year against really, really good teams. Like last year, you only won 2 conference games, but you at least had a chance to win against Auburn at home, Final Four team. You had a chance to win against Florida at home, national champion. Oh, and by the way, you're one of only 2 teams last year that held Florida to under 80 points in a game last year. You just so happen to be the only team to lose that game, right? Because Tennessee held them under that total and beat the hell out of them in Knoxville. But you were in a lot of games last year because your defense was so good. Your defense was so good last year that it gave you a chance to win. You were just so inept on offense that you can never take advantage of it. And in the year you went to the NCAA tournament, what set you apart was that you had a good defense. Wasn't great, it was good. And they were a good team defense. You might not have had a good individual defenders, but you've operated well as a team. You rotated really well. You communicated really well. You didn't have a lot of breakdowns, if any, in 2 years ago when you went to the NCAA tournament. This year you have way too many breakdowns. They don't rotate very well. There are a few times where your bigs were slow rotating over to the spot. So if someone does move off ball, you don't move off your man enough to be able to help. Or in ball screens, like I mentioned, with all the action that's happening at the ball screen between person guarding the screen or person guarding the ball and what the communication that is involved in that coverage. Well, on the back end, you have to have what most people in basketball call the low man. The low man is usually the one that's getting into the paint and stopping either the dive from the big man or the drive from the guard. And so many times last night, whoever was the low man or had the low man responsibilities was about 2 or 3 steps behind. So whenever you're finally contesting the ball, you're not doing it until that ball's going up in the air, right? And that's too late. They were too late on a lot of those rotations, right? Whoever had low man responsibilities on multiple plays last night, and it was multiple people too, failed to get to the spot enough. And that's a team defensive concept. And that's one, too, where if you're putting that on tape right now, there are teams that are going to be able to just say, hey, we're going to do what Virginia Tech did. We're going to get our biggest ball handler. We're going to put them in a ball screen, and we're going to make them have to rotate and make them communicate, and we'll mismatch hunt all night. That was the thing to me that was so damning, and that's how you're able to give up 50-plus points in the paint. Yeah, there's a physicality element that this team is lacking, but they're also lacking a team defense that is anything adequate to what it was a couple of years ago.
Last point, the physicality aspect with the rotations and everything that you just described, does that fall into the rebound deficit?
Yep, because if you were out of position to contest the shot, more than likely, not just you, because when somebody misses a rotation on defense, it's a domino effect, right? Because if you miss the rotation, somebody else has to go over instead, then that sometimes will put 2 on the ball, and that means somebody's not boxing somebody out. So that happens a lot. Rebounding is a mix of physicality and angles, right? You have to be physical and you have to have the want to be able to get rebounds, but if you're not in position to get the rebound, I don't care if you're Dennis Rodman, you're not getting the board. And a lot of times, it does feel like they're out of position to be able to rebound well as just getting bullied on the boards, like they did against Butler, where they just completely got manhandled from a physicality standpoint.
So when you finish this game, because despite all of that, goes to overtime, lose by a point, you kind of give up the last bucket on the uncontested layup.
Yep. Elijah Strong got caught.
Everything you just described happens on the last bucket.
Got caught on a court top
That being said, how do you feel after the game?
If this was the only Power 4 non-conference game that you lost, I wouldn't feel terrible. What makes me feel bad about this team's chances is that you've had 3 games against Power 4 competition. You have now lost all 3. You have completely eliminated margin for error. You may have to, if you beat Clemson, you still may have to accumulate 11, 12 wins in conference play, because the SEC is not as strong this year. 7 wins in this league probably won't be good enough to get you in, because if you look at the SEC's non-conference record this year compared to last year, night and day difference. The ACC has gotten a lot better. I think the Big Ten has gotten significantly better. You have maybe the 2 best teams in the country right now, or 3 of the best teams in the country playing in the Big Ten, whereas last year we're talking about 3 of the best teams in the country living at the top of the SEC. And you don't get a chance to maybe knock one of them off. I think the resume part of this is what hurts worse than anything else. Losing last night because it was a very winnable game hurts, especially with how you didn't get a shot off to end regulation. And you're the player who you trust the most in crunch time, Michi Johnson, pounds the air out of the ball for 15 seconds, and with 1 second on the clock decides to try to make a pass out to the perimeter where there was no chance in hell Mike was getting a shot off. That's losing the game in that manner is what hurts, as well as the amount of games that you've lost in it. But before we get out of here, too, I did have a weird press conference moment last night, because Preston Thorne, I got welcomed to CLA by Virginia Tech head coach Mike Young. It sounds weird, but I'll let you listen to it.
Where are you from?
I am from here.
What do you do? Who do you write for?
Radio host.
Radio host?
Yeah, 107.5.
What's your name?
Elijah Campbell.
Elijah, welcome, buddy.
Oh, appreciate you.
Why am I welcoming you? You're from here.
Well, it's nice to get it.
You should be welcoming me, Elijah.
That's right. Well, welcome you. Yeah, well, welcome, Coach.
Go.
Yeah. And then I go into my question. Yeah, I've never been more confused in a press conference in my life. I've never been more confused.
You responded well, because I think I would have had that Scooby-Doo look like, huh?
Bro? Reggie?
You were the only person he did that to?
The only one. The only one. Now, there was a mix of like Virginia Tech media and, of course, us. And like Jack asked a question before that. But
he's been coaching a long time. I'm willing to bet that you reminded him of a player he had at some point. And, he's from he's in the state. He coached at Wofford for a long time. I wonder if he's like, did I coach this kid somewhere along the line?
Right,
he looks like he's got a pretty good basketball acumen.
Like,
I may have coached him.
Maybe I coached him somewhere.
Tall, maybe he's like, you're Fletcher McGee. No, I wish I could shoot the ball like Fletcher McGee did.
That's my bet. That's my bet. He looked at you and was like, do I know this guy?
I could sense some genuine like confusion in his face, or like trying to see if he knew who I was. So I had to have just looked like somebody.
I think that's it.
But out of the things that have happened in my career, being welcomed to a press conference room that I've been in numerous times and have participated in numerous times is definitely up there. And then he goes on to not answer the question I wanted to. He just got distracted.
Did he say go?
Yeah. And then he just says fire away.
Okay. Well, maybe you should have told him, hey, welcome. Now answer my question.
Yeah, let's pretend like that wasn't weird, and now you can answer my question. Well, we'll also be looking at the football team today because it is National Signing Day, but we'll also do a postmortem on this team, starting with the quarterback, and we do that next.
Decker Boulevard at Percival Road. We do have a report of an accident there. Also, you'll find one Garner's Ferry Road at I-77 and Spears Creek Church Road between Percival and I-20. Also an accident. So be mindful of those this morning. We are starting off your day a little bit overcast, not too bad, and looking for a high of 48. 54 tomorrow. Rain coming back on Friday, a high of 46. Right now, though, we're starting off the morning a little on the chilly side, 42, but it feels like 38 on the early game.
Just got done talking about the men's basketball loss to Virginia Tech, and unfortunately, we'll have to talk about more batches of losses from the football team this season because it's one of the most disappointing South Carolina football seasons. Definitely since in the short time I've been here and the short time I've been on this earth and cognizant enough to keep up with college football. I mean, I do remember 2014 when they had a preseason top 10 team and just made a bowl game and had a defense that couldn't support a high-flying offense. That was disappointing, but it didn't crater out, right? I think, at least in my lifetime, this is the most disappointing South Carolina football team that we've seen in terms of preseason expectation and what the final record result was. So when we look at this, we've been taking a lot of big-picture looks at what this program is at right now in terms of the crossroads that they're in. But when we do a post-mortem on this season, I wanted to go very specific with a few position groups. And I want to start off with the quarterback position because a lot of it, that's one of the reasons why the expectation was so high. I asked a few questions. Why was the expectation so high? Why did you fail, right? Those are two questions that you got to try to find a connection to, right? And the first thing I want to look at and kind of talk through is the quarterback position, because Lenore Sellers coming into the year was the reason everybody thought this team was going to be a top 15 team, contend for a college football playoff, maybe him being in contention for the Heisman Trophy at the end of the season. So did he regress? I think we can all agree that he did. But where was his regression? And I think another question to add to that is how much blame do we give to Mike Shula for the regression of Lenore Sellers in 2025?
So, yeah, he absolutely regressed. He absolutely did not – well, he didn't progress from where we thought he was going to be last year because that was the whole allure. Look at what this dude did the last 6 games, and he's just getting started. Where can we go from here? What's the next step? What's the next level? And it never happened. And so I think there's some very specific spots where he specifically regressed, and I think it was one in decision-making. Even still – Lenore's his game, he doesn't play a lot of YOLO ball. It's not so his decision making is not like I'm gonna throw a bad ball in a tight window. Who cares? Doesn't really do that.
I'm trusting my arm too much.
That's not him.
Spot.
But his decision making comes in not getting rid of the ball, taking too many sacks, staying in the pocket too long. Those 3 things I think are his kryptonite right now as far as being a quarterback is concerned. You don't have to worry about him throwing the ball Josh Allen style to, a fullback 40 yards downfield, rolling out across his body. He doesn't do that.
John Mateer in the college level.
He's not doing that. But he will stand in the pocket and take a sack that he doesn't need to. Or he will hold on to the ball way too long and end up taking a sack that he doesn't need to. Unfortunately, a lot of this conversation ends in taking a sack. And I do think that is something that he's going to need to figure out here or wherever the next spot for him is, because that is going to hold him back in his game.
Yeah, I think so too. And when it comes to trying to see how much blame Mike Shula gets, it's going to be hard for us to be able to pin down exactly how much it was, because I don't know what he's been instructing Lenore's to do, right? If there was a larger emphasis on staying in the pocket and making a play happen with your arm, or how much emphasis of, hey, we need to just get the ball in the air. We don't want you scrambling around as much because we want to preserve you, and we think your arm can win us these games. Like, we were not in those meetings. We don't know. We can only speculate based on just how different he looked under Dow Loggins and how different he looked in the first 9 games of this season. But I think a lot of the regression, too, is just his pocket presence. He looked so much more comfortable in the pocket last year. And it wasn't like that was a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line either, right? I think he faced a lot of pressure last year, too. I just think he handled it so much better. And why there's a disconnect between last season and this season, and why that jump wasn't able to be made, is the most baffling thing about this season to me. Because there were times where he did flash, right? He did have a couple 300-yard games. I mean, a 300-yard performance in the air against Missouri is a pretty impressive game, right? Offense didn't fully satisfy the requirements to win the game because you had negative rushing yards. But then even against Clemson, too, you throw for over 300, but there was one back-breaking mistake that took 6 points off the board. And there were times that game where he also just held on to it too long. So where that disconnect is, I'm not exactly sure. But in terms of the difference between 24 and 25, so much of it was kind of him, I don't want to say losing it because that insinuates he's not getting it back, but not having the superpower of pocket awareness that he had last season. Because last season, I mean, you just compare Clemson games, right? Last season, as soon as that pocket started to break down a little bit, he was breaking tackles, getting out of it, and turning a 5-yard sack into a 16-yard gain. And we just didn't see a ton of that this season.
Yeah, and that's why I tend to place a large percentage of the blame on Mike Shula. Because Mike Shula tried to make him into something that was more comfortable for Mike to coach than was comfortable for Lenoris to be. He tried to make him into this quarterback that stands in the pocket and goes through his read progressions and pats his feet and pats the ball, and that's not what Lenoris does really well. And I think the only reason Mike was trying to do that is because Mike was not comfortable coaching this virtuoso thing that we had here, and that happens because it's very difficult to coach someone who has such a unique skill set. And it makes it really tough. And when you watched Lenoris this year, it felt like you could see his smoke coming out of his ears. Like he was trying to think his way through the game. And that's not a way to win. You do all your thinking during the week, and it felt like on Saturday he was still trying to, okay, this is what the coach is telling me to do. All right, I'm going through my progressions. Okay, it's too late.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it seemed like everything took way too long because he just couldn't figure out what to do instantaneously.
And a lot of good quarterbacks don't even do that thing particularly well, right? I mean, it wasn't like I think about other quarterbacks who have been in the NFL and the ones who are great supercomputers on a football field that have just incredible processing speeds. Really, the only ones you can think of who are that good on the fly are guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Those are two of the best to ever do it. You could throw Drew Brees in there too. Two of the three best quarterbacks to ever play on planet Earth. That is such a hard level to get to. And I think where Lenoris is at right now, I don't think being a supercomputer on the football field is a necessity for him. And if that's what they try to do, then that is certainly a failure in coaching and a failure in instruction, because what his superpower was his instinct, right? So much of what we saw in 24 felt instinctual. And I just think we lost that element of him this season, and that's a big reason why you were where you were. And
I think also the fact that he didn't have enough protection all the time, so even, if he needed that extra second to think, he didn't have that time.
It wasn't there.
Yeah. He's not afforded that luxury, right? So it does kind of feel like it's a culmination of just all of those things resulting in what we saw from the offense this year. And I think that two things can be true at once. He can be a little too indecisive and hold on to the ball too long, and the protection wasn't good. And when those two things happen, then you see a 40-plus sack season.
Also, there is a thing called the sophomore slump.
Yeah.
Right? He's not a pioneer. This is a thing.
Is this a thing?
This is a thing. We understand what a sophomore slump is. And a lot of times we think it's about the other team learning about him. But sometimes it's about the second year you're trying to recreate the first year, but you're just a little bit slow. And then the next time you figure it out. So maybe the third year he'll actually end up getting better than he was the first year. But this happens.
Today's National Signing Day. How much does it actually matter in 2025? We'll get to that next.
Cato's pressing here for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. And they can help you with all the things that you need for your lawn. Do you need power equipment? Do you need professional landscaping services? Whatever you need, Ben Cato and Cato's Power Equipment is there to provide top-notch service and all the great deals that you need. And Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they're proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato's has got you covered. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call them at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
Decker Boulevard at Percival Road, still working that earlier slowdown. A couple other accidents we want you to know about. Garner's Ferry Road at I-77. Also Oak Drive at Highway 1. And Spears Creek Church Road between Percival and I-20. And that forecast, it's not going to be too bad. Just going to be a little bit cooler than maybe we want. But, it is December after all. Looking for a high today of only about 48. And then we're looking for a high tomorrow of 55, 45 with some rain come Friday. Rain chances continue off and on throughout the weekend. But right now, it is a cooler start to your morning. Feels like 38, but it is 42 on the early game.
Today is National Signing Day. Don't make the mistake that a friend of mine in high school made. She was a cheerleader on for our basketball team, and one day she walks into the training room while a lot of us are getting treatment. Guys, it's National Singing Day. Are you excited? And we're like, National Singing Day? She goes, yeah, I've been singing all day. And I remember looking at her being like, Bethany, it's National Signing Day for high school athletes and in college, but I appreciate the bubbly enthusiasm.
That's very sweet.
And she goes, wait, what? And I had to pull out my phone, and I remember showing it. And she's like, okay, now I feel dumb.
It's okay, Aunt Bethany.
I could have just let her live in National Singing Day.
You did the right thing.
You did, because boy, she would have been. You were at least kind. Others might not have been.
So don't make that mistake. It is not National Singing Day, so don't just start breaking out into song at work. It is National Signing Day.
You can if you want to.
Well, you can, yes, but you can't do it as festively as you think you are.
Yes, exactly.
How about this? Does our recruiting class make me want to sing?
Do you like top 20 recruiting classes?
I do.
Then, well, according to On3 and 24/7, you have top 20 recruiting classes.
Okay.
And you have something to sing about?
And it's something to sing about. You'll really have something to sing about if they all take this pen and they take it to paper and sign, because those numbers are based off of commitments. And I want to tell you right now what the most useless word in college football is right now: commitment, right? Lane Kiffin and transfer portal stuff completely aside, we just watched the number one player in this class lead Georgia along for how many months? And then yesterday, just flip on the day before signing day, say he's going to go play at Vanderbilt.
Ooh.
Georgia lost a quarterback commit.
Okay, that's the kid, five-star quarterback?
Jared Curtis, yeah. At Nashville Christian. Decides he's going to stay home and play for Vanderbilt, which I've got no problem with. This is where I can get into my spiel. I'm so excited to do this because this ticks me off. No problem with him doing that at all, right? Like, you want to stay home and you want to play there. Like, if anything, good for you, good for that program. But can we please, for the love of God and all things holy, quit calling these commitments? It's not. It's not a commitment. It's a Twitter post. That's what it is now.
It's a promise ring.
Yeah, not even a promise ring at this point. Yeah. I would say, because the kid that was committed to South Carolina at running back, Amari Thomas, and is then, while he's committed to South Carolina, taking visits to Florida State.
Yeah.
If you're committed, you're not taking visits anywhere. That's just not how that is. If I'm committed to my spouse, I'm not taking visits to the homes of other women and just seeing what they got over there, right? It's a little counterintuitive to the word commitment. I don't mind if you have a long recruitment. You should take as much time as possible to make a decision. But my advice to any high school football athlete or any high school athlete, don't commit unless you are ready to sign, right?
Yeah, because we aren't teaching them what commitment is, truly.
Yeah. Don't commit unless you are ready to take this pen and put it to paper and say that you're actually going to play there, right? Because we get mad at coaches when they tell you, a prospect, I'm committed to this program, and they up and leave, right? Because they strung you along. A lot of those kids that are playing at Ole Miss right now probably strung along in the process. Lane probably sold them a bunch of stuff, right? About, I'm committed to Ole Miss. You're going to come to the SIP with me, and we're going to do great things here. There are recruits at other schools, right, that probably are talking to that coach, and he says, hey, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm going to need you to come here and help me build something here. And then they leave. We get mad when coaches do it. We get mad when a recruit kind of strings the school along, right? He was taking a lot of visits to Vanderbilt, and I know I feel like I'm picking on Jared Curtis. Don't want to necessarily do that, but look, for everybody, can we quit doing the whole commitment thing, right? We don't have to commit to a school unless we're ready to put pen to paper. We don't have to do that. You can keep it open to recruitment forever, right, until you absolutely have to make a decision. Because
Jared Curtis could definitely have. The five-star guys can definitely do that. But there's some other guys within the recruiting process where they put the screws to you. They get you in the hot box and they say, hey, what are you going to do? This offer will expire if you if you leave the building.
Right.
And that a lot of times that's how some of that stuff goes, where you hear players talking about they made a commitment and they wanted to change their commitment a lot. There are some times where the coaches put the screws to the players and
coaches got to quit doing that
in a highly recruited high school class.
There is.
When you look at the programs that are still doing it at high levels, they're still bringing in highly recruited people out of high school. So I know that the tendency is to be like, oh, there's a transfer portal now, things are totally different. There are changes, but you still need to bring in dudes in your high school classes.
Because even if you don't plan on starting them, football's a violent sport. Injuries happen all the time. There's not a team in America that hasn't had an injury issue one way or another, right? They might have to play. And you would rather that freshman be more highly touted than others that you bring in.
Like I do all the time, it's just about food, man. When you go to the grocery store, the bananas are green. Do you want to wait till the banana's yellow to buy it? Maybe. Or you can buy it when it's green, and then it can ripen in your home.
Your home.
That's how you want to do it. What you don't want to do, which maybe we did this year, was buy a banana that's black. We bought some black bananas this year. Don't worry, we're gonna make banana bread out of it. No, we're not.
No, we're not. You gotta do it right now.
Yeah, it better happen right now. It didn't happen right now. Yes, I'm talking about the offensive line. Didn't work.
No.
So there may be some green bananas out there in high school that you have to buy and bring in your house and let them develop and ripen in your house. And there's still a purpose in having them.
Yeah, and then it's up to the coaching staff to use the bananas once they're ripe.
Correct.
Right? Or in this instance, maybe the biggest difference in analogies here is when it comes to player development, you can accelerate that if you're really good at what you do, right? You can accelerate that and get them ready, right? You can change how fast that banana gets ripened. But that's kind of been an issue, especially at the offensive line in this program for a long time.
What happens if it over ripens?
Ooh.
Then they grade out 1.6 in true pass sets against Clemson.
Like Nick Sharp.
That's what happens when it over ripens.
That's what it looks like, a 1.6 grade. Out of 10? No. Out of 100. Out of 100. We'll get your calls coming up next, but we'll also reveal the 40th anniversary of one of the coolest things to ever happen in sports, and an anniversary I know Jen Jensen is excited to talk about. That's next. years ago today, it was December 3rd, 1985. And the 12-1 Chicago Bears, fresh off of a loss, their only loss that year to Dan Marino's Miami Dolphins, fly back in from Chicago and film this video that had records flying off shelves. In a time where music videos are a little newer.
Very new. Still a new thing.
Still a very new thing.
Rap is a new thing.
A very new
The
thing.
hippity hoppity.
This definitely has the cadence to it. Like almost all rap songs did before 1989, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But it made me think yesterday, as we hear Mike Singletary break it down. Oh, buddy, he wants winners and he wants bars. Mike Singletary, hilarious in that documentary. But if someone did that now, like a large TikTok, and then they, like, especially after a loss, people would rake them over the coals. But back then, that was so much fun and so cool.
It was.
But if you watch that documentary on HBO called The Shuffle, Mike Singletary admitted that that was the best team bonding activity they could have done, and that actually got them a little bit closer as a team. And guess what they did after that? They won every game and won the Super Bowl.
You just blew my mind. Yes. So what they did was a large-scale TikTok in 1985.
That was a large-scale TikTok, yes.
I'm sure.
That's a great point.
And I'm sure Mike Dicker was all in on that. Like, hey, guys, let's go take some of this precious time that we have and let's film a rap music video.
They spent a whole day doing it.
Oh, gosh.
A Tuesday.
Can you imagine?
A day
After
off?
Loss. They used a day off to do that. After their only loss of the season.
I don't think he was excited about that.
They were
I can
scheduled to
imagine.
shoot that at 10 a.m. The plane landed from Miami at 6 a.m.
Wow.
And dudes came in. As you would learn in that documentary, they came in 2 hours late,
Of course.
but they showed up. And other than Walter Payton and Jim McMahon, everybody showed up that committed to showing up. And then, of course, Jim McMahon and Walter Payton got talked into recording theirs after the fact. That's why they are green screened in.
You know, I was watching the video just now. I was like, is this bad or is this green screen? Okay, so they're green screened in.
Two players were green screened in because they backed out after losing. So they're like, I'm not doing that after a loss.
Which surprised me for Peyton because, you know, he was a little more easygoing, I think. Now, our little punky QB.
Yeah. Because Jimmy, man, known to be focused on football all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Known focuser
bless
of
him.
football.
Yeah. But I could see him getting his nose out of joint. Like, yeah, I'm not doing this. You know, diva status.
Very much so deep
Yeah.
status. We have some calls we can get to before we get out of here, too. We'll get to James, who's been waiting patiently. And if we can't get to Andy, if you can hold on, we'll get you in the next segment. But James, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. I remember that song, man. I was like, 12 years old.
It ages so well. It ages so well. It
Yeah,
still has it's still a
exactly.
bop.
Exactly. Well, when you were talking about sellers and everything, Peyton Manning was terrible his first 1 or 2 seasons in that offense. And, Tom Brady was not the catalyst behind those first 1 or 2 Super Bowls. It was the defense.
That's a good point.
He just had some timely plays in there, but he got into his own like year 5, 4 or 5 of that offense where he really got into his own. And with every coach, and I know Preston agreed with this also, is how you communicate. How are you able to communicate that concept of that offense? You know, and with the pro style, it's predicated on timing. That quarterback on that third, step back has to identify that dig or whatever and throw it out there, or identify that. And if that's not there, that offense will look bad. And it looked like that quarterback is not decisive, but that play is not there. You know, and that's the hard thing about the pro offense in the college game is it usually takes a very, very experienced offensive line and a quarterback that's seasoned or has played that offense in high school. And it's hard to move over to it. And I think that I'm not a South Carolina fan or anything like that, but I saw that kid play in high school, and I know how good he is. I know how he played that. And I think that the head coach and all these coordinators have to assess, what did my guys do? That's the reason why you have summer camp. You assess what your guys do, and then you mold your scheme behind what your guys do well. versus not being able to deviate from this particular thing and that particular thing. That is a bad team. That creates a bad team. When that offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator or that head coach, you got to be able to look at the skill set of your players and then mold your scheme around the skill set of your players.
Those are really good.
But I enjoy listening to you guys. I'll hang up and listen to your comments.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you, James.
it,
Yeah, because we almost had a break, but I want to address a lot because those are really good points. I love that call, James. I appreciate you calling in because he's right. He's totally right about the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady thing too. Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie year, and Tom Brady only needed to score 2 offensive touchdowns to win that Super Bowl because that defense was awesome, right? I think maybe they even only scored 1 because they did get a pick 6 in that game too. But in terms of processing, that is excellent points on it takes time. And it takes really good coaching. Takes a lot of both of those. Want to continue that on the other side as well as get to Andy, as well as continue our discussion on National Signing Day and how much that type of stuff still matters. That's next.
Pressing here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. Cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job for you. If you're at home looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows and mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Still working a couple of slowdowns this morning. Decker Boulevard at Percival Road. Garner's Ferry at I-77 in the cleanup stages. Spears Creek Church Road at I-20, or between Percival Road and I-20. Oak Drive at Augusta Highway and Harbison Boulevard at I-26. 52, that's what we're looking for today under some clouds. Clouds will increase tomorrow. We'll have a high of 57. And then Friday, some rain, 47 for the high. It looks like there's chances for showers really throughout the weekend, but the most significant chances coming on Friday. Right now, it's a cool start, 43 on 107.5 The Game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And we're continuing our discussion on a lot of things today. The 40th anniversary of the Super Bowl Shuffle, still a bop to this day. That is what every rap song sounded like before 1989.
Curtis Blow, shout out.
That's right, Curtis Blow. That is the Curtis Blow flow right there.
First rap mega superstar, Curtis Blow.
And everything sounded just like that.
And then when they went digitizing things with Max Headroom, remember that?
Yeah, I do remember
That
Max
weird.
Headroom. That was strange.
That was odd.
Even at the time, I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
Correct. Yeah. No.
Even evolution in music tells us that not all progress is linear.
That's an excellent point. You are so wise.
You know what? I don't get accused of that often.
Okay. That's your,
So I'll take that.
I'll clip that and send that to you.
And I'm going to play that every night before I go to bed.
Perfect.
That is how I find my zen. We're also talking about National Signing Day, also talking about how you build college football programs in the year of our Lord 2025. And we're also getting your thoughts, too. So we'll go back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Andy's been waiting patiently. Andy, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Sometimes I gotta wonder how I keep them going under. That's the curse.
Yes.
That's your reference right there.
A+, good job. Let's go.
Well, here's the deal. You're talking about bananas. I want plantains on the line. I want them bigger. I want them heartier. And who knows how to cook a plantain? Who knows how to deal with a plantain? Nobody. I want a defense they don't know how to deal with. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would like to see.
I like it.
And you're talking about signing day. It's commitment. It's a commitment for you. If you propose to your wife and say, hey, will you marry me? She's like, yeah, for a year at least. It's like,
right.
It doesn't. So what's up with that? And we just there's a lot of stuff broken. Like, if we fire you as a coach, it's $70 million that we got to pay you, but you can just up and leave at any damn time. That's lots. There's so, and it's just like there's stuff that's got to be fixed, and a lot of it's on the NCAA because you talked about it went from you got a beer at a bar in the Old West from a booster, you're out of here. But now it's like, okay, go rob a train, go rob a bank, get as much as you can. It's the Wild West out there. So that's my point. So I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, that's really good, Andy.
Great call.
Yeah, A+ on plantains, winner for today's show. Early winner so far, plantains. And the Curtis Blow reference, 10 out of 10. But going back to what he said too, especially when it comes to the whole commitment thing, I would like just a rewording maybe. If you want to say who's the leader in the pack, that's great. I really love, tweet instead of saying I'm committed to School X, I am enamored with School X. Do what Adrian Wojnarowski had to do at ESPN when he was told to stop tipping picks at the NBA draft. And instead of saying, the Atlanta Hawks are drafting Luka Doncic and will trade him to the Dallas Mavericks, he would go, the Dallas Mavericks are enamored with Luka Doncic and the Atlanta Hawks are enamored with Trae Young, and they are seriously considering swapping picks. He changed wording a little bit, right? We might have to do the Woj bomb thing and have to maybe just change our wording here because I hate the whole commitment thing and then just backing out later. And I understand coaches are at fault for this too, but it's an optics thing for me, right? It's just an optics thing where if you say you're committed somewhere, at least show up and play the first year. But then also, because things happen in your college career, maybe some foreseen, unforeseen, whatever, right? And for some reason you have to go somewhere else. Like the word commitment has kind of lost its luster there, but until pen meets paper, am I cool with counting recruits in a recruiting class? And that's how you can be like a top 10 recruiting class before National Signing Day. And then after National Signing Day fall out because a lot of the people you thought were going to be coming decided to go elsewhere at the last minute.
Yeah, and when you look at what recruiting day is and what it was, is a big difference because there's it's not recruiting day, signing day. Then there's early signing day, and it's kind of always going around, and people are committing here, they're decommitting there, and so I've kind of elected just to wait until the dust settles. Let me see the list of when it's finalized. I guess we'll see a little bit of that today, and we'll figure out who's going to be where and what's going to be what. But as I repeated, it is still important to recruit at a high level out of high school because those players become the backbone of your program. Of all of the highly successful program, it's still the backbone is high school recruiting.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why, like Bud Elliott, I've referenced this a lot with his blue chip ratio. The blue chip ratio comes from like what you were coming out of high school, right? A lot of times, now they're not perfect. You can go to 24/7 or On3 and look at their top 100 recruits, or even I like just even doing top 10. Who did people think were going to be the top 10 best players in that class? And going every year and being like, yep, you panned out. Yep, you're in the NFL. Oh, what are you doing now, right? Like some can be like the number one pocket passing quarterback or pro-style quarterback in the high school class. And then they're just working normal jobs like us after college because it just never materializes, right? Like that happens frequently, and it's fun to go back and look. Like I like to go back to my high school graduation class in basketball and football and just look at the top 10 to 20 recruits in the nation and be like, well, neither of us made the league, did we, buddy? It wasn't just me. You didn't do it either. Have done that a lot. It's a lot of fun. But even then, it's a pretty decent indicator of who some of maybe the elite athletes are. And when you accumulate a large number of them, when you have more of them on the roster than not, you qualify yourself for being able to win a national championship. Like no team has ever won a national title in the BCS era or since we've started really keeping up with this data unless you haven't had more of those players than not.
If you go through our position groups, the best players that we have at each position group have come from high school recruiting.
Yep.
Jalen Kilgore.
High school recruiting.
Dylan Stewart.
High school recruiting.
I can't say the linebackers because those Fred Johnson.
High school recruiting.
Right?
That's a great point.
And I think it's really important for us. O-line, there wasn't a lot of great things happening there. Before he got hurt, it was Casey Henry.
Yep.
Out of high school. Josiah Thompson has not panned out, but he was a huge recruit there. Our quarterback is from high school. Nick Harbor's throughout high school. Mm-hmm. The running backs largely did not work, and we have not hit on a high school running back in forever.
Yeah. Like and that was not true last year.
We haven't had one that's worked in a very long time. And so especially for programs like us that are like middle-class SEC, we're not going to be able to pay top dollar for the top transfer portal recruit. We're going to have to find things, grow them, and identify talent earlier in evaluation through the high school process. So for us, I still think this is extremely important.
Yeah, especially when your state does produce a lot of really good high school football players, right? Like it is amazing. It just in my professional experience covering high school football in the Nashville metro area and here in South Carolina, where there are significantly more people in just even in middle Tennessee than there are in the state of South Carolina, and how much more talent just per capita there is in South Carolina than there is in the entire state of Tennessee. Like there are a lot of good players that I covered in the other state. I've covered a lot of really great athletes here in a state that is significantly smaller in population. Like per capita, it's as good. It can be as good anywhere else. So you have a really good backyard to be able to recruit from. Maybe one of the more underrated ones. Mm-hmm. And if you're getting those guys and you're turning them into really solid players, then that's like step one, right? Is taking care of that. One thing that I think Shane has done well in terms of recruiting is recruit the DMV area, right? He has been a specialist. Dylan Stewart, Nick Harbor, both those guys from the DMV area. Getting the blue chip recruits there helps you out a lot, right? When you have not just your own state, but you have a pipeline that extends beyond your state, like Jalen Kilgore out of the state of Georgia, right? Really good find, really good ability to be able to identify those guys early and get them here onto campus. That is what got you at least in a position this year. Now, we all know what happened this season. We've gone over ad nauseum. We'll continue to do it. But you were in a position to have a roster good enough to win this year. Now, everything that happens else after that, further details, right? But you got yourself in a position because you can recruit well, and that still matters a lot. And I got really curious yesterday about teams that live in the portal the most. Is it truly indicative of success, right? So in the Power 4 conferences, these are the teams with the highest number of transfer players. And I'll give you the amount of transfer players and what their record was. Number 1 was Purdue. They had 54 transfers last year. They went 2-10. Number 2, West Virginia. They had 53 transfers. They went 4-8. Number 3, North Carolina. LOL. They had 41 transfers and won Jordan Hudson and went 4-8. Number 4, Oklahoma State. In year 20 plus of Mike Gundy, needed 41 transfers to supplement the roster. They went 1-11, and Mike Gundy doesn't have a job. UCF in Scott Frost's first year brought in 41 recruits or 41 transfer players. They went 5-7. We don't get to our first winning record till number 6 on the list, where Cal brought in 38 and went 7-5. Number 7, Wake Forest brought in 35 transfers. They went 8-4. Also, coaching helps a lot there. I think Jamie Dickert is a rising star in college football coaching. Helps a ton. Number 8, Mississippi State. They lost a lot of players to the portal, so naturally that's where they have to just get numbers at. 34, they went 5-7. Number 9, Colorado had 33 transfer players. That's kind of been Deion Sanders' thing, is getting players through the transfer portal. They went 3-9. Number 10, Louisville had 32 transfer players, went 8-4. And you could say they probably underachieved as good as the rosters they had. 11, Arkansas had 31 transfer players in an attempt to save Sam Pittman's job. Spoiler alert, they did not. They went 2-10. And then UCLA and Virginia both had 31. UCLA was 3-9. Virginia is 10-2 and playing for an ACC title game. And then Ole Miss at 30, right outside them, being 11-1. So some teams can get a large number of transfers and it be able to flip their season if those hit. Now, if you look at Ole Miss, a lot of those hit clearly quarterback, wide receiver. They replaced Trey Harris with Harrison Wallace, who has been a really good wide receiver for them. They've supplemented a lot of those guys on defense because they lost so many guys to the draft last year that they had to build the defense really through the transfer portal. And even then, their defense took a while to catch up to where their offense was. So you have some areas of success. Because then if you look outside that top 14, Houston is also on that list, and they went 9-3. Willie Fritz, also an incredible coach. But it takes so much more than just a large number of transfers to be able to turn a program around and be instantly successful. Because that's kind of the thought process now, that in today's college football, you can get a bunch of transfer players and completely change what your roster looks like. Not always going to be a future indicator of success. That high school recruiting still does matter.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers are pretty damning. That makes a lot of sense. And so it's not going to be you just go out and get whatever you want. When you go to the portal, you're going to have to go specifically and get the things that you need to add on to what's already a part of your team, like we did the previous year. We went out and we got a Demetrius Knight. We got Kyle Kennard. We got Rocket Sanders. Pieces that added on to the already in-place high school pieces that we already had.
Yeah.
And so we had the greatest combination last year. And so if I was to put my garnet glasses on, I do think Shane understands that, and he understands the concept of roster building. They may have misevaluated this year, but I think he gets the overall concept.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing, too. I guess the more we get information about the impact of transfers and the number of them, the more we can accurately kind of depict what most efficient roster building method looks like. And I think what we have here in this season, it's further proof to this type of stuff being supplementary as opposed to being foundational. Like your high school recruiting is your foundation. Transfer portal players are supplementary. And I think that's kind of where the rub is when it comes to recruiting. You see a lot of these programs right here that have just tried to bank on bringing in a bunch of strangers at once. Some of your best programs in America have your best players in for a while. You're able to develop them. They're able to play with each other and build a chemistry over the course of a few years, and then you build a program, right? The mercenaries can help get you a step further. They can help supplement places where maybe you might have missed in high school recruiting. They can be good erasers, but they can't be your foundation.
No, they can't.
And I think if anything proved that, those numbers right there are one of the things that prove it. Well, in terms of proving things, in our morning meeting, we are going to very easily disprove an AI slop rumor that is showing up on social media. It happens way too frequently, and we'll tell you what that is coming up next. Now, if I told you that it takes maybe 17, 18 times to do something before you build a habit, it would make sense, right? But when I tell you that Midstate Roofing for nearly 30 years, which is a lot more than just 17 or 18 times, has been providing proper advice, service, and results to the special needs of your facility, and they do it in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation, you'd say that's a little bit more than a habit. You just say that's what Midstate Roofing does, right? That's the reason they are the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. A lot of great things that Midstate Roofing does, but one of my favorites too is that they are very attentive to your very urgent roofing and waterproofing needs, because you can give them a call at 803-356-1919, even after hours, because sometimes when something's going wrong with roofing and waterproofing, it can't wait till the next business day. You can still talk to an on-call technician at that number, 803-356-1919. You can always send them up online at midstateroofing.com. And remember, if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Some earlier accidents have cleared, but we're still contending with Harbison Boulevard at I-26 and Oak Drive at Highway 1. 52 will be the high today. Kind of nice not to have that rain. Going to just be cloudy. The overnight low is going to be pretty chilly, though, 32 for the overnight. 57 for your high tomorrow. Rain comes back for Friday. 47 will be the high. And expecting some showers kind of throughout the weekend. Not a washout, but just some showers here and there. 43 currently on the early game.
It's National Signing Day. And, of course, we're doing our early signing day special today from 9 to 12. So as soon as we go off the air, all the way up until noon, the early signing day special will be sponsored by Firehouse Subs at the Firehouse Subs Main Street location here in Columbia. So, yeah. Did I hear that? That's the fax machine of me faxing my letter of intent. And my internet crashing out. My dial-up is crashing out. I have not heard that noise in so long.
I'm here for you.
I think to kind of like age myself a little bit, I think the last time I remember hearing that on a computer was our family computer.
Ha! Family computer.
Yeah.
Family computer. Wow.
When my parents were still married and we had a family computer. And, buddy, you know how long it was? The computer made that noise.
And then that might have also been followed by, "You've got mail."
You've got mail. Oh, yes.
Which always bugged me because it's like grammatically, that is so wrong. You have got mail.
You have got mail.
That just used to make my ears bleed. I'm not going to
Makes a great movie, though. Great film.
That it does. Absolutely.
Great rom-com.
See, there you go.
Top 5 rom-com of all time?
Ooh. I'm here for this list.
I mean,
That actually could be fun.
I need to put more thought into my greatest rom-coms of all time. But You've Got Mail is definitely on that list. But it's the morning meeting. We will try to teach you how to avoid AI slop, and we'll get to our man Ray. All of that starting now.
Good morning.
Morning.
Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
It will be an awesome day once my internet dials up.
Good morning, great day. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great day. Today will be an awesome day.
Today will certainly be an awesome day. And we're going to help you make it more awesome by not falling for AI slop, right? You know, artificial intelligence is going to end up becoming the most polarizing invention maybe of our time. We can get into a really big philosophical discussion, but the worst part of it is the misinformation that can come from it. And Preston Thorne, you stumbled upon something on social media that is so laughably and verifiably untrue. However, it takes a life of its own.
However, that didn't stop the people in my group chat from posting it.
Oh, it got shared to you. Like, that's how you found it, and that's the worst part.
It didn't stop people from commenting on it in my group chat. And this is a group chat with people who play football. People who play football for the University of South Carolina.
Oh.
What are we doing? That being said, I need everybody to think about social media. We love acronyms. Think. T, is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? K, is it kind? Think before you post. T, is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? K, is it kind? If it doesn't fit those criteria, don't post it. And don't respond to it either. We have a serious issue. This is across social media, across the board. And here's the deal. Yesterday, it was sent to me that a star player from South Carolina Gamecocks, A star player from the South Carolina Gamecocks is set to join LSU under newly appointed head coach Lane Kiffin. The transfer deal happened extremely quickly right after the Gamecocks season ended, and he will officially leave the team to begin a new chapter at LSU. First off, let's start with this. What's the first reason we know this is not true? Because when does the portal open?
Not now.
Portal's not open. So we know that this happened. Are there some bad deals happening? Maybe. But the portal is not open, so that did not happen. Do you want me to read the quote that they had from Lenoris? We've heard Lenoris on this show before. We've had his quotes. We did a whole spiel where we had to combine 8 different quotes to get 30 seconds worth of sound. But here's what they said. Lenoris said, I've waited my whole life to play under Coach Kiffin, and now this opportunity hits like a storm of destiny. Playing for him at LSU isn't just a dream, it's fate shaping my entire career and future.
So basically, Lane wrote this.
Or Lanebot GPT.
Correct. Exactly.
This was from the Forever to Thee account on Facebook, so if you follow them, do not, because they just have a whole stream of AI slops, pig sounds please, of AI slop stories that are happening. But the problem is not that these stories are happening. The problem is that underneath these stories, I have a bunch of maybe people, maybe bots, I don't know, arguing with each other about whether or not this is happening. Did not happening? Should it have happened? Should Shane Beamer be fired? This is happening on preponderance. There were 2 separate stories about this that were going on. I didn't even get into reading the story because why do you even need to read the story? No. But again, the first thing in that acronym, is it true? It is not true. So again, do not get yourself caught up in the AI slop fest that is out there. It is quick. I know you're just breezing around. You see something, you click on it, you like it, you thumbs up it, you thumbs down, or even worse, you get into the comment section with all of these maybe people, maybe they're bots, I don't know. We all have to do a lot better job at being very precise in what we're seeing because these are happening. They're targeted towards you. So if you follow a lot of Gamecock stuff, you probably will get posts like this. You may have been one of the posts that got the idea. I remember things going around that Brian Kelly was helping people out in the floods. I don't know if you remember that one that was happening.
Oh, yeah.
And they made one of these for every SEC coach, and it was targeted towards you as an SEC fan. These are not real, as is a majority of this stuff. And I will say this again. If this is the AI slop that is happening with something so stupid as Lenoris Sellers transferring to LSU, just take a second to imagine where else this is happening. And so when you find yourself getting riled up about something on Facebook, there's a very strong chance that it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
A strong likelihood.
There's a likelihood of it. So if they could say that Lenoris, we've all heard Lenoris say, have we ever heard Lenoris said, playing for him at LSU isn't just a dream, it's fate shaping my destiny?
Oh, no.
It's not. It's not.
If it sounds like it's a quote from a Star Wars movie,
Yeah.
it's probably not coming.
And not that he
From an
doesn't
athlete.
have the intelligence or, the intellect to speak like that. That's not it at all. He just doesn't articulate things in long
We just haven't
amounts.
That's not how he rolls.
We
Not
just
how he
have,
rolls.
we just have not heard that from him. So we want to make sure, and so we will continue to make this maybe a weekly segment or whenever it pops up, that we have to squash this whenever it happens. Because I also have another one on here where George Rogers made a quote on how he thinks that Lenoris Sellers is the greatest Gamecock of all time, and what they're doing to him at this program is a blatant portrayal. Newsflash. George didn't say that.
That's more slop. Yeah. Another good philosophy, if it sounds ridiculous and way too fanatical to be true, it probably is, unless your favorite team just traded for Luka Doncic. In that case, I had to verify that multiple times.
Legendary George Rogers shatters the silence with a fiery statement defending Lenoris Sellers. And again, it's not George. It's the people or bots underneath arguing with each other about what he said. Be careful out there. Hey, listen, if you're not ready to swim in the deep end of the internet, don't go out there. don't stay in the shallow end.
Right.
Because it gets deep, and a lot of us are getting washed away in the internet.
A lot of rip currents.
Be careful. Exactly. Be careful out there, folks.
Don't be who we think you are, and we'll tell you who in football is who we thought they were. Coming up next. The holidays aren't just coming up. We've been saying that for a while now, but now they're here, right? Like Black Friday has come and gone. Thanksgiving has come and gone, but now is the season for joy. And an incredibly clean home will give you a lot of joy. And my friends at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning are here to help you with that whole incredibly clean home part with a new promotion this month. You can secure your holiday cleaning with Zero Res with $40 per room cleanings, and to make the gift even bigger, once you schedule 3 rooms, you can add a staircase for just $1. Now remember, appointments are filling up fast, so you have to call today to lock in your cleaning. So start off the new year with a fresh, clean home with the pros over at Zero Res. Schedule online today at ZeroResColumbia.com, and remember, Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
Still working an earlier accident, Harbison Boulevard at I-26. Traffic is slow going I-26 eastbound between Lake Murray Boulevard and I-20. Aside from that, things moving along fairly well this morning. We welcome that for sure. And 52 is the high we're going to see. Overnight low is going to be kind of cool, 32. And then your high tomorrow, 57, 47, with some chances for rain on Friday. The rain on Friday looks like it'll be more of a case where we have some rain in the morning and then maybe tapering off and a little bit later in the evening. So just kind of scattered rain Friday and throughout the weekend. Currently, it's 43.
We'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines before we get to handing out our Denny Green Awards for the week. Our man Ray is on the line. Ray, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, guys. Hey, yeah, exciting day, I guess, with the see how we do in recruiting. But I just want to talk a little bit about the basketball game last night. Then I want to touch on Ole Miss. Man, exciting game. Oh man, I tell you. I'll tell you this. I know one thing. We got to start playing that big Frenchman more. He was kind of impressive, you know. And 280, I think he left 280 a long time ago. But that dude could take up space and he could shoot the ball, you know. So I like to see him in there more. Michi, such a great player. But going back on those 2 free throws he had and he missed the first one, I was like, okay, walk away from the free throw line, kind of redeem yourself. And he stayed like a statue, stayed right there on that line. I was like, oh, no, that's usually not a good – I know everybody has their own way of doing things, but I think when you miss that shot, you kind of got to walk away, decompress, and then go back into your motion. But anyway, and then dribbling the game out. You can see Coach Paris was right there. He never thought he was going to do that. You know, he had the ball. He was waiting for the time to go down, and thought he was attack, and all of a sudden it's like I don't know what he was thinking. And it was like, oh, goodness. But don't want to come down on him too bad because he's a very good player. But the team, they've got to work on their inside defense. I mean, the rebounding. And, I mean, I never saw a team shoot so many lay-ins, especially in that first half. But getting over to Ole Miss, I mean, if you're an Ole Miss fan, I kind of feel for them. I mean, here they are. They've got the greatest year they've ever had. And right now, I bet you the average Ole Miss fan isn't overly excited right now. And, you know, they hired Pete Golden. I might have just put the interim on him, not the head coach, because if I'm hiring a head coach, he's got to be able to call plays. I love defensive football, no doubt about it, but my head coach he's got to know a little bit of everything. That's why I'm paying him so much money. And the fact that they had to go get Lane's OC, I mean, what does that say? But anyway, it's all real interesting, but we'll see how things travel out with us today in recruiting. But, man, Ole Miss. And then you got Lane. Oh, my God. Lane's that guy that's going to let you know how great he is, you know.
Oh.
If we're all in high school, you know, Lane lives in the biggest house on the country club. Well, we all know that, right? But Lane's going to tell us every day. You know, Lane drives the best car. We all know that, but he's going to tell us every day. He don't only date the prettiest girl in the school, Elijah. He probably dates the prettiest girl in the county, and we all know that. But every day he's going to tell us that. So what can we do? But anyway, thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah, appreciate the call as always, Ray. Yeah, I mean, you want to know how desperate Ole Miss desperately they need Charlie Weiss Jr. to call plays is that they went to the head coach. They said, absolutely not. Hell no, you can't coach our team during the college football playoff while you're employed at LSU. And looked around and said, somebody's got to call offensive plays around here. All right, Charlie, you come back for now. But as soon as we're out, get out of here. Which, understand. But also, Lane Kiffin's the head recruiter. He's the head coach. He's the one who would absolutely be draining your time and poaching your players. Not to say Charlie Weiss Jr. won't, but it gives you at least a chance and when it comes to Ole Miss fandom, if you're a fan of Ole Miss, I think you're probably feeling really conflicted, but at the same time, too, you're getting to host a college football playoff game. And that's exciting. More than likely, if let's say Virginia wins, you will be hosting Virginia more than likely in the first round of the college football playoff.
I mean, Charlie Weiss Jr. Can we go into our segment? Can we do it?
Oh, they are who we thought they were?
Can we do it?
Absolutely.
Well,
yes, absolutely.
Let's start off with this. Charlie Weiss Jr., you're on watch. Fraud alert. Because you are who I think you might be. Oh. We're gonna see how this Ole Miss offense runs, because Charlie Weiss Jr., first off, you tried to back away from the name Jr. because you didn't want anybody to know that your dad was Charlie Weiss, but your name is Charlie Weiss Jr. We know who you are. You have
Call
never
yourself Chuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go by Chuck Weiss then. How about
exactly.
that?
There's a reason why you still going by that name, sir. It's because the name gives you a little bit of clout in this play calling game. You have never worked for anybody who has not been a coach's son.
That's true. Lane Kiffin.
He's only worked for Lane Kiffin, and then he worked for Jeff Scott. Those Jeff Scott years didn't go so well. Also, Charlie Weiss Jr., you've never been the OC under a guy who wasn't the OC. You know what Lane Kiffin is? The OC. You know what Jeff Scott is? The OC. So now you get your shot, Charlie Weiss Jr., and I got a feeling that you're a fraud. I will see. You are who I thought you were.
Ooh, that's good. Oh, Preston was so ready for that. Well, I didn't think Ray would throw him a lob like that.
Appreciate it, Ray.
But Ray is Chris Paul throwing it up, and Preston is Blake Griffin throwing it down.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, he's gonna have to go. Hey, Lane, what do we call on third down? What are we supposed to be doing here, Lane? Oh, I gotta call Lane. To see what we actually do on first down.
You see him in the box calling plays. He's got he's got the little walkie that you do the player coach to player communication, and he's got his iPhone in the other hand, and he's just going back and forth, trying to communicate from a cell phone. The imagery of that is too funny.
I'm just saying. There's a reason why he's only worked for two coaches in his illustrious career when he became an offensive coordinator at 24. Wonder how that happened.
Yeah, an offensive coordinator at 24.
Wonder how that happened.
Wonder how he got that trust so fast. Yeah, intrigued. We may never know. Just like how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. It will always be a mystery.
Oh, that sounds really good right now.
I haven't had one in so long.
They do have Tootsie Pop drops. Have you seen those?
No.
Stop.
No.
May have to bring some in.
But my interest has peaked. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
We can get the sucker stick out of the equation. Yeah, I think we have piqued my interest here. But my Denny Green Award, and I hate to do it to him, but this is not particular to this team. It's particular to the program and its history. Texas A&M, you can't beat Texas. You can't escape it, right? You finally have the best year you have ever had in football. You've never started 11-0. You've never seen success like this. You've never had a team like this. You've never been a national title contender to this level, ever. But when it comes down to playing that one team that you want to beat more than anything else on planet Earth, you still can't beat them. You made a college baseball, a college World Series, and you lost your coach to him the next day when you lost it. You lose your coaches to him. You lose recruits to him. You left the Big 12 so you could get away from them and have your own stamp of independence in a more prestigious conference, and they still followed you back a decade later, and now you have to play them again every year. Your whole identity is beating Texas. Your whole fight song is centered around sawing off Longhorns, and guess what you still couldn't do in your best year ever? You couldn't beat Texas. I picked A&M to win that game because I'm like, if not now, when? When will it happen for you? Not saying they still can't win the national title. I still think they're good enough to be able to push teams like Ohio State or Indiana, or if they have to play Georgia, I think they can still push them because I think that highly of that team. I think that highly of Mike Elko. But it's hilarious that you still find yourself at the end of a season losing to Texas. They can't escape that other school in the state. Aggie fans probably have that team getting on the line. Well, we're going to put some folks on the line coming up next.
Let's just gonna get on the line right now, man.
My patience is running thin. You're all running out of time. You was late to my practice, sir? Everybody on the line.
Come on.
Oh, it's that time. It's Wednesday. It's time to put some folks on the line, express a little bit of anger. And Preston Thorne, I want to have you start.
Ooh.
Lead us off.
You want me to start?
Oh, yeah.
I've preached it all week. It's Wednesday, and I finally have to put them on the line. I don't care if only one of you graded out. I do care that one of you graded a 1.6 in true pass sets. But that's not why you're on the line. Y'all know why you're on the line. Because of your uniforms. Tuck your shirts in. Those white undershirts flapping in the wind as you miss blocks, as you jump off sides, as you hold. We didn't even have a lot of holding penalties this year because we're not even trying. And that's another point. Offensive line, come here. Come here. Sean Elliott, come here because you allow this. Offensive line, Sean Elliott. Lonnie Teasley, come here from wherever you are. Get on the line. I'm tired of it. Next year, the only change I want to see, I don't care who the OC is, I don't care who the coaches are, is I want to see shirts tucked in. That's my bare minimum. If I don't see those shirts tucked in, I don't know if I can be part of this operation anymore.
You're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't see the untucked shirts. And we were watching Missouri and Arkansas. That was on one of the TVs in here yesterday. And there were not many untucked shirts at all, but the one there was for Missouri, it was at least a black undershirt. You couldn't tell unless you looked very closely.
It was a black tight fit. And that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do.
It looked a little more uniformed. Going back to your point, it makes a lot of sense. Here's one that I want to put on the line, and I'm not just singling out Clark Lee, right? Because I'm using Clark as an example as to my frustration, because the college football playoff rankings were released yesterday. Vanderbilt's 14th. It would take an act of God and divine intervention to them to get into the college football playoff. He tells Chris Lowe this from On 3. It is just absurd, the idea that we're going to open the door to teams that play in conferences that aren't the SEC, that have the same record we have. I mean, it's crazy. Well, I'm tired and so exhausted of teams that are tied for 5th in their league complaining about not being able to play for a national championship. You went 10-2 this year, had an incredible season. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to be playing in a league where there's a lot of really good teams. You're going to be playing in leagues where, yes, it's not fair that one of the two teams you lost to is one of the teams ahead of you. But you know what? That's the game you had to win. You didn't do it. When you're in a really good league, your margin for error will naturally be a little slimmer because there are a lot of good teams. Any coach that is complaining as they are tied for 5th in their league that they're not getting a crack at the national championship, get on the line. Soft,
and that's
incredibly
my guy too.
soft.
These are hurting me because Clark Lee is my guy. I like Clark Lee a lot. Been there for a long time. This one really pains me because he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. I adore this man. I like when he's on commercials. I like when he's on TV. I like when he acts in movies. Coaching football, he does that pretty well. But Nick Saban, come here.
Oh, this is perfect.
You carried water for Lane Kiffin all weekend. Lane Kiffin was on the record saying that he was calling you for advice, and then you were on TV saying, I don't know what Lane's going to do. I think it's the college football's calendar's fault. There's a simple word. Hey, I recuse myself from this story. I'm too close.
I'm personally involved.
I cannot speak on this with any authority. For carrying Lane Kiffin's water, Nick Saban, I'm sad to do it, but get on the line.
Oh, I've always wanted to put Nick Saban.
I don't want to do that, but I have to.
Just blatant conflicts of interest in that entire thing.
The two people I call, Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. Nick Saban the same day. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. This is tough. You do know what he's going to do. You told him. And it comes out later that you told him to do that. We all have missteps, GOAT. I understand. I will humbly accept your apology, but you got to get on the line.
I think Nick Saban, would you quit on a team that was going into the college football playoff?
Ooh.
Would you? And if that's the advice you gave him, would you follow your own advice that you gave him? That's a problem I have. Also, when you watch ESPN, I've taken notice. Anytime that has been doing the Lane Kiffin water carrying, saying, "Oh, he should be allowed to coach in the college football playoff," I will go to Google and I will search first, last name, agent. And if I see a CAA page pop up, which is very common for a lot of them, I will automatically recuse you mentally from the conversation because it reeks of Jimmy Sexton string pulling. Last one for me, though, Michigan. Because Michigan was so bent out of shape. They planted a flag on Ohio State's field last year. After they got beat by Ohio State, they stayed on the field until Ohio State got off the field because they wanted to avoid flag planting. That's the best effort and defense you put out all day. You know you had 4 quarters to avoid that. And you know what? If you do it to them, don't be surprised when they want to reciprocate that energy to you. So Michigan, get on the line. Oh, my goodness. Hour number 3 is coming up next.
Harbison Boulevard at I-26, still working that earlier slowdown. And over at I-20 westbound after Clemson Road, also a slowdown there due to an earlier accident. And the forecast, not going to slow us down too much. Cloudy, 52 today. Now it is going to be chilly overnight. Overnight low of about 32. Tomorrow, 57 for the high. Some off and on rain throughout the weekend starting on Friday. Friday's high 47. It'll be about 50 on Saturday and Sunday. So no washout, but the most chances for rain will be on Friday. Right now, 43 on 107.5 The Game.
The early game, third and long hour, starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. He's Randy Young in the video production studio here for Studio 803. And we have a fun third hour lined up. We're still putting folks on the line. Who are you putting on the line? 803-404-6100 to our Firehouse Subs text line. We'll take your calls as well. We'll also be getting into South Carolina's men's basketball loss last night in overtime to Virginia Tech. Another missed opportunity for this team that is running out of non-conference opportunities before you get into SEC play. Obviously not ideal, but we'll go to the Firehouse Subs text line right now where a nameless texter says, Jeremiah Donati, get on the line. Football, baseball, basketball, all basically last place in the SEC. Leadership starts at the top, along with accountability.
And I hear you, Jeremiah. I know what you say. You're like, it was, what about Ray? Well, Ray's gone. Ray's not on the team anymore.
He's not walking through that door.
Ray walked through that door.
He walked out of that door.
Ray walked out that door.
He's at peace.
Actually, he skipped and whistled.
He hit you with the Magic Johnson. I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, hey, listen, it's a team thing. You got to pay the piper. So, Jeremiah, for where it is right now, you got a chance to improve it. That's why you're here. But you got to get on the line. I got one more really quick.
It's a rite of passage, actually.
Because for all of the pomp and circumstance, for all of the braggadocio, for all the I'm the governor, Jeff Landry, come here.
Oh, buddy.
Because you promised that you weren't going to play the games with the big agents. You promised that you weren't going to get into the big contracts. You said that you weren't going to pay the buyout game. 0 for 3.
Yep.
You dealt with a big agent. You paid a bigger contract and a bigger buyout. Governor Jeff Landry, get on the line.
That's one of the funniest things about this story is not just the basic headline of big name coach going into college football playoff, leaves college football playoff team for college football playoff teams, arch rival. That's not even the biggest part of the story. It's the fact that nobody has learned anything. Anything. Lane Kiffin hasn't learned anything about his lessons of making exits like this and going scorched earth and burning bridges everywhere he goes. We thought he might have learned something. He says he's learned stuff from those mishaps in his career, only to make the same mistake again, only to do the same thing again, right? Whether it's a mistake in terms of like his career, it is to his reputation, but if he wins national championships, he's going to find it or is going to deem it, worthy of making that choice. But he still made the same mistake he swore he wasn't going to make again, or make that same decision he wasn't going to do again. Jeff Landry told all of the state of Louisiana that we're not going to pay that type of money again for a coach. We are not going to deal with these agents that are, signing or making us sign these contracts that require very large buyouts. And guess what he did? Guess what he did? Immediately, Lane Kiffin is option A, B, and C for LSU and started negotiating with him. This had been, early November? I mean, within a week or two after firing Brian Kelly and going on that tangent, he didn't even wait like a week because the plane went to Baton Rouge that had Layla Kiffin in it not long after Brian Kelly got fired. A week or two tops, right? So the fact that Lane made the same mistake he said he wasn't going to make again, the fact that Jeff Landry made the same mistake he said they were never going to make again, is so comical. All the characters in this story, you can't believe anything they say. It's like one of those movies where there are no good guys.
No, there's nobody to root for here. There's no good guys.
Have you ever been on the Reddit, the subreddit? It's Am I the A-hole, right? A great Reddit page, right?
Yes.
Where people will lay out a story and like, am I the one wrong here? But some people will comment, like it's ESH, like everyone sucks here. And you know what? This is a story. Everyone sucks here. There are no good characters in this. Like the show Succession, one of my favorite TV shows ever. It is one of the best, most well-written, well-done television shows. All the characters are unlikable in very similar fashions. Now, our man Chuck on our YouTube stream is putting himself on the line, a self-submission.
Well, we appreciate that.
We appreciate self-submissions. Chuck says, I put myself on the line for believing we could be something different last game of the season when I knew what we were. So not only is Chuck putting himself on the line, we have a segment crossover between they are who we thought they were and get on the line at the same time.
Hey, Chuck, get on the line. But you know what, Chuck? I'm going to join you.
You know what, same. I'll hop in line too.
Because with 3.5 minutes left, 97 yards to go, fourth quarter, down by 6, I felt it. I was like, it's gonna happen. This is gonna be it. This is gonna be the time we're gonna break those taters' backs. It was the moment. First play, interception.
Pick six. FEMA play.
Hey, Preston, get on the line. Why would you choose to believe that?
I picked South Carolina to score more than 30 points in this game going into it. I got to put myself on the line too, because you know what? I was going into it thinking, hey, you had that first half against Texas A&M. Maybe you figured a little something out.
Scored 51 against Coastal.
51 against Coastal, who ended up firing their head coach just another week later.
Coach Killers.
What, 600 yards of total offense? You found a little bit of a rhythm. Like, you know what? You can carry that over. Clemson's been torched in the passing game a few times this year. I saw what Darian Mensah did. I saw what Kevin Jennings did at Clemson this season, thinking this could be different. You can maybe take advantage of this. You scored 14 points. You threw for 300 yards, but it only counted in 14 points. And only 28% of your plays were in Clemson territory. So for myself, too, for buying into it. Get on the line. Oh, brutal. KT from Lexington says, Shane likes to use the word if a lot. If I had a time machine, I'd be the richest person on the planet. Let's put the word if get on the line.
Yeah. My father used to use a phrase with the word if, and I don't think it's FCC appropriate to use here. But
I think I know which
it's very
one.
very similar to that.
If ifs and ands were pots and pans, the world would be one large kitchen.
That's a nice one.
That's an FCC appropriate.
That's an appropriate one. That's not
really
the one,
good.
It's not the one that my dear old dad would use.
It's not the one. It is not the one that he would use right there. A lot of people would probably want to put the basketball team on the line for last night. 86-83 overtime loss. It's not just the overtime loss, too. It's the opportunity that was lost, because now in your very short early non-conference slate so far, again, we're talking about a team that has only played 8 games. It's December 3rd. A whole lot of basketball to be played, but you've played 3 games against power conference competition. You are now 0 for 3. And that's going to put you behind the 8 ball. You got to do more in the SEC than you would have last year, because the SEC not faring remotely close as well as they were in non-conference play last year. If we want to use the SEC-ACC challenge as a barometer for that, the ACC is up 6-3 in that right now, with some of your best teams in your league falling last night in that regard.
And you're looking at games that are, to quote Elijah Campbell, gettable.
Very gettable. Last night was incredibly gettable.
And you need to get those, because we don't know when else they're coming.
No.
Throughout the rest of the season.
You don't. And a college basketball season is all about collecting really big wins, avoiding really bad losses. I think you've avoided what you'd consider bad losses, but they're losses to like teams, right? Butler can be a bubble team this year. I think Butler's improved. They could be a bubble team, but then your resume will be compared to theirs more than likely. I think Virginia Tech will be a bubble team, because I am such a big fan of that point guard in Neo Avdalis. I think that guy is an NBA caliber player, and they're going to win some games in the ACC, a really good ACC this year. that I think will get them in contention, or at least in some tournament consideration. You can ultimately have like-for-like resumes with a negative head-to-head. And then with Northwestern, too. I'm not as high on Northwestern. I think they're in a league that is still, they're in the bottom tier of. But if they get 9, 10 wins, or maybe even 8 in Big Ten play, that could be enough to get them in, because that might be the best overall conference in college basketball, kind of like what the SEC was last year. Mm-hmm. Their resume will be compared to yours. And all 3 of those teams now have head-to-head wins over you. Now, that all this, again, is dependent on how those losses age. But as of right now, I expect those teams to be in the bubble conversation. You have to be able to win those games, and you just haven't been able to pull it out in the end. And last night, you have a team with experienced players, and it's your more experienced players that let you down.
That's always the difficult part, when you have the chance to take the game, win the game, and it's the guy you look toward that doesn't get it done. But that happens. But I guess my question for you is proof of concept. Is it there? Do we understand how this team wins games? Or are we still trying to figure that out?
I think offensively it's there. Because early in the year, like, well, you're going to have to bank on hitting a lot of threes. The game was winnable last night, and you shot 26% from 3. That's an abysmal three-point shooting percentage, right? You went 8 for 30. That's not going to win you any games. But what can win you games is making up for it by getting to the free throw line. You shot, until the end, you made as many free throws as Virginia Tech attempted. And if you're not hitting your three-point shots and you're shooting a high volume, you got to be able to make up for it with other efficient looks. Efficient looks are getting to the free throw line. They got to the free throw line a ton last night, and they did it to the tune of fouling out Virginia Tech's best player late in overtime, and that helps. But I think where we need more proof of concept with this team to feel good about being able to win an SEC play is how are you going to guard teams that are bigger than you? It's not like South Carolina has a lot of 7-footers. You're really only 7-footers in the roster are Jordan Butler and Kree Stetson-Doku. Those are the 2, right? You don't have a lot of guys that are even 6'10 or 6'11. You're going to play teams that are going to have some size mismatches on you. And Virginia Tech had one last night with their point guard being 6'9", and they took advantage of that. And they pick and rolled you to death. They ball screened. They just spammed ball screens last night and got whatever they want. South Carolina was slow on defensive rotations. They did not handle the pick and roll really well. And for the first time that I can remember, Lamont had to change his ball screen coverage in the middle of a game. He never does that. Teams will do it against them. I've rarely seen him do it against other teams. And last night he had to bail out on something that he has always been true to himself on, and that's that specific ball screen coverage. I think they're still trying to figure out a lot on defense, because defensively, what they did last night will not win you a lot of games in the SEC.
Building on that point, what I know about Jordan and Kreist is that they are tall men, not big men.
Correct.
And the distinction is obviously tall man is tall. Uh-huh. Big man plays big.
Uh-huh.
Tall man can affect shots, but big man definitely affects shots.
Yes.
And so there is a difference between those two. And so you would say the team is definitely lacking. Because it's interesting, you can be big man and maybe be 6'9".
Yeah.
But you big man.
You play big. You play strong, right?
But we have tall man, not big man.
The thing is, if they do get in the post, sometimes they can lose post position. And sometimes post play is just nothing but positioning. Mm-hmm. If I get you on my back hip and I've got my chest towards the basket, one really good bounce pass to my right hand is going to get me a left-handed layup. Or if you are fronting the post and I'm able to push you out, like if you're standing in front of me trying to deny the pass in there, but I'm able to push you out about 8 feet from the basket and no one's in help side, all your guard has to do is throw it over the top, and I'm catching it and shooting a layup, right? It's all about positioning, and they lose those position battles a lot. And I think Kreist can win those a lot. I think there's still maybe some conditioning things that need to happen for him to be able to play a larger chunk of minutes. But you don't have a lot of that. And against Butler, that's where that really showed, right? The Butler game was where all the deficiencies that you could foresee on this team coming to fruition in one game. Because even Lamont said last night, Butler just bullied him. And Butler manhandled him. He said, that's the one loss this year I thought we just got manhandled. And there are teams in the SEC that are as equally physical and equally gifted at getting offensive rebounds like Butler will be. Not saying those things aren't fixable. Again, it's December 3rd. Things can definitely be fixed. But they have to be fixed sooner rather than later. Because it's your margin for error is getting wiped out.
I've asked you this before, but when do you feel that you got a beat on who the team is for the year moving forward? Do we have a couple more games left?
I say give me the first 2 weeks of conference play.
All right.
Until I can really tell who this team is. Now, certain things in late January and the month of February can completely turn a team around. We've seen that happen plenty of times in college basketball. But I think with this team, too, because your schedule in the SEC is a little bit easier to start the season than it was last year, I'd say the first 2 weeks of SEC play is when I'm going to be able to make that distinction. But another fun distinction, we haven't done this in a while, Preston or Reston. We'll get to some big NFL highlights, some of the biggest news in the NFL. I'll ask Preston or give Preston a few takes, and we'll see if he agrees. All of that coming up next on the early game. Phone lines 803-404-6100. We'll get to Alex, who is on the line. Alex, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Fantastic. Doing all right?
Doing good. It's my long-time listener, first-time caller.
All right.
Now, I just wanted to bring something up. I got a wild hair the other night, and I went back and listened to the Reaction Mondays and the Tape Tuesdays after the Missouri game. And it was really sad to hear all the same things we were talking about then being talked about this week after the Clemson game and last week and the week before. But it's very eerie going back and listening and seeing that some things on the team just never changed, and we just had to realize that's who we are as a team this year. But my real question is, if Clayton White leaves, who do you think they'll try and go for as a DC?
Oh, man.
Great question.
That's a great question, Alex. Oh, man. His first call, he made it a good one because that's a heater of a call. I will say if Clayton White leaves and Shane has to make 2 coordinator hires, I'm not saying you can't do it, but that is such a tall task along with the roster construction element that's going to take up a good chunk of your December and January. Anyway, that's already adding to an incredibly full plate.
Yeah, you kind of want to, like, if you're in your house, you want to replace one thing at a time. Like, the refrigerator can't be broke at the same time as the washing machine. Like, that's the issue. Let me take care of one, and then give me some time on the other. But, Alex, you bring up a very real possibility. Clayton's name is bubbling right now. It's a hot name right now, and there might be some opportunities out there. Obviously, there's a coastal connection. I don't know if that's going to be the case. That might be too much of a straight line for that to be a thing, but it could be. But also, when we think about defensive coordinators, those names aren't necessarily as known or as in the public conversation as much as offensive guys. So unless you're really, really doing some digging, you may or may not know that list, because up-and-coming DCs are not necessarily as sexy as up-and-coming OCs.
And now when it comes back to him going back, credit to him for getting the wild hair and going back and listening to Reaction Monday and watch the Tape Tuesday from Missouri. But what he said is exactly true. We have talked about the same issues with this team all season long. And if I have to boil down why this team finished 4-8, I think I'm pointing it in that direction. Because, yes, you had some deficiencies at the beginning of the year. Everybody's got them. No team starts the season perfect. What you need to have is some evolution along the way to improve your status. And they just never did that. They never made the jumps in those areas to get better. And we still end up talking about the same issues from the Missouri game, from the LSU game, Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas A&M, and Clemson, right? Like all of those games, we're talking about the same type of stuff, which is the main reason why, Alex, when I posed the question, if this team that played in Atlanta in late August squared off against the team we saw at Williams-Brice this past Saturday, which one wins? I could not give you a definitive answer.
Yeah, and I maybe you might even say that the team in August wins because they don't have the baggage that the team in late November has of losing all of those games. There's still this eternal hope that, hey, this might work. Again, remember that first drive?
We'll always have that first drive.
We'll always have that. Sleep tight with that one. But the thing I think what we were saying in Missouri, I'm glad to know that we were saying some of the same things, so that's cool to hear that we were being at least objective at the time. But there was still an air of if, yet, coming along, we're close. We still were buying into that, but it never happened.
You had the luxury of time.
Right.
And now you don't have the luxury of time. You have no time, right? It's not even just a luxury. It's a fact. You just don't have it, right? The season is what the season is. Now for the NFL, Preston or Reston, I've got a banger for you, Preston. I want to start off with this. The Carolina Panthers will pass up the Bucs and win the NFC South.
I've had my eye on this one. Preston.
Oh, he's taking it. He's taking it.
Yeah, I don't think they're great. I don't, but the Bucs, obviously we talked about Mike Evans yesterday, I believe. With Mike Evans being hurt, that's a huge part of their offense. And I just don't feel like the Bucs were never great either. And I feel like that is ripe for the taking. So it'll be a really cool story. How in the world did they beat the Rams? I don't know how that happened, but they did it.
Well, because of the funniest thing that could have ever happened, and that's Matthew Stafford breaking the NFL record for consecutive passes without interception and then throwing 2 right after that.
So, yeah, Preston.
See, we'll take that. And it's funny, the Panthers only half game behind Tampa right now. What Tampa was at the beginning of the year, I mean, Pirates are really good at identifying fool's gold. I think that might have been what we saw early in the year for Tampa Bay. Preston or Reston, the Eagles are cooked.
Get them out the fridge. Put them in the cooler. They're going on the grill. I think they're cooked, man. Something's wrong. I don't know what it is. There's some internal friction. And this proves the idea that winning doesn't solve everything, because they just won.
A Super Bowl.
They just won a Super Bowl, and it just has not seemed right.
And remember 2023 when they lost their last 6 games or whatever it was, and then went to the playoffs and got dog walked by the Buccaneers on the road to go one and done in the playoffs a year after going to the Super Bowl? My thing with the Eagles is I think Nick Sirianni, I think he's a fine coach, but I don't know if there is a worse coach at handling adversity than Nick Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen in 23 and 25, once they face a little bit of adversity, once things start going wrong just a little bit, this guy is below Elmer's in terms of glue potency, right? He can't glue everybody together. He can't keep them together. A.J. Brown's pouting. Everybody's pouting.
He's pouting and he's catching
Barkley's
touchdowns.
regressed. Yeah.
He's catching touchdowns and he's still pouting.
And
I do think we've talked about the limitations of Jalen Hurts. We've talked about that. But I also think there's a little bit of like, man, come on, dog. I don't need to hear another slogan.
No.
I'm sick of it.
Lord, no.
I think there's an element of that creeps in as he does his leadership guy criteria. I think there's an element of dudes rolling their eyes like, all right, man, here we go.
Dare I call it the Russell Wilson effect?
There might be a little bit of that. I think Jalen is just a tad bit cooler, so
Right,
he
he's
can get
cool,
away with a
yes.
little bit more. But there might be a little bit of like, all right, man.
There's a Russell Wilson element there that is certainly kind of lingering below the surface. Last one. It is the 40th anniversary of the Super Bowl Shuffle today. Do Jen Jensen's Chicago Bears win a playoff game?
Preston.
He says yes.
I think so, man. I saw Ben Johnson with his shirt off in the locker room the other day.
Ripped.
He's on it, yeah.
Yep.
Great shape.
I was like, okay, I see you, Ben.
That means he was willing to feed the people of Chicago, because there was a company that said if he takes his shirt off, they're going to supply free hot dogs for Chicago folks.
Well, good on. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I thought he was just taking his shirt off just for the love of the game.
Hey, Bears Super
Little bit
Bowl.
of it
They
all.
did the Super Bowl Shuffle to feed hungry people in Chicago.
See?
All of the proceeds went to charity. Ben Johnson took his shirt off to feed hungry people in Chicago. Is there history repeating itself? I'm just pointing things out.
I think this is all about the idea that, yes, even in the NFL where we know players are important and players run the league, you still have to have a coach and a system in place.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he's shown that he's taken essentially the same squad from where they were last year to where they are this year just by changing the philosophy of the team. And I think we know coaching is important.
It pays dividends. Our man Jordan Kay from the State newspaper joins us next here on the Early Game.
on Friday. And the rest of the weekend, it'll be 50 on Saturday and Sunday. Increased chances of rain for Friday. Still some showers possible for Saturday and Sunday, but
So it may
it's
look a little
cloudy.
different.
42 currently on the early game.
I like the wrinkle, actually. Today is National Signing Day, and our early signing day special will be today right after we get off the air from 9 to noon. Terry Ford will be live from Firehouse Subs on Main Street in Columbia to break everything down. And from the state newspaper, our pal Jordan Kay joins us this morning. Jordan, good morning. Appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us. And it is National Signing Day. Do you have any updates so far in terms of how it's going for the Gamecocks, in terms of maybe anything happening that's unexpected?
Nothing unexpected right now. They've got 5 letters of intent in. Darius Gray, Keenan Britt, Caden Ramsey, Noah Clark, and Anthony Baxter. So, yeah, I don't think it's super surprising now. They're supposed to. They had 14 commits coming into the day, 5 signed. So we're looking for 9 more letters of intent, and then possibly a couple flips. Those would be the surprises.
Yeah, that's always the thing to look for in terms of potential surprises, but it's always good to have the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country put pen to paper, or I guess fax machine it in. If do we still do that? We still sending in faxes for these NLIs?
I think it's all DocuSign now.
Dang.
Ruin the good thing.
Fax machines across the country. Brutal blow. Brutal blow to your necessity in the workplace. As if they haven't had enough already. Brutal stuff. But that is good news. It's good news to have that the prize offensive line recruit finally put pen to paper. And Gamecock fans need good news, because it was not a good season at all. Obviously, Jordan, we talked so much about what the expectations were coming into the season. Team finishes 4-8. As we look at this season in hindsight and in perspective, to you, what's the biggest reason this season ended up failing in the way it did?
Well, I mean, it's the most vague answer is the offense, and then I think you kind of trickle that down, and I think part of it is, Mike Shula running the offense and just not doing a good job at all with creativity and putting his players in the best position. And then also I think it's, South Carolina's offensive line just not developing the way we thought they were. This has been a thing for a couple of years where the Gamecocks on early signing day have signed all these very highly touted offensive linemen, and you're kind of thinking that this was the year that all of those dudes were going to start to contribute, and this was really going to be where you kind of saw all that hard work and recruiting pay off. And it didn't happen. I mean, there's a lot of these guys that, were 4-stars that, didn't even play. I mean, Marky Anderson, Tree Babalade, plenty of dudes who it seemed like big wins for South Carolina on the recruiting trail, and now it's been 3 years and they've hardly played. So I think it was those two things combined with each other just kind of – it was a recipe for disaster.
Well, going back to signing day, Jordan, how do you square what you just said with them signing the number 1 interior lineman in the country? How do you put together those two different things?
It's great, but also I think we're at the point now with this South Carolina offensive line where you kind of have to believe it. You got to see it to believe it. They signed Josiah Thompson, who was a 5-star 2 years ago, and he's been solid. He's having to start as a left tackle as a sophomore in the SEC, but he certainly hasn't been one of the better tackles in the SEC. And so It's kind of like, hey, well, I'll believe it when I see it type thing with any of these offensive line recruits. It's certainly a good start, better than the alternative to get a guy like Darius Gray in the building. But now you got him in the building. Now the development needs to come.
Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing, too. When we talk about development, I feel like that's one of the more common themes on this team is the lack thereof being the reason why you have underperformed this year. And part of that has been at the quarterback position, too. We spent a segment in the first hour of the show, Jordan, talking about Lenore Sellers, asking, did he regress? Where did he regress? Yeah. And how much blame should go to Mike Shula for that regression? How would you answer those questions?
It's so hard. You go back and watch the film, and it is so tough to think, okay, how much of the step back he took was on play calling? How much of it was because his offensive line couldn't block for anything, and he was running for his life on some of them, or, was almost feeling pressure on every play, and that's what led to the regression. It's really hard to tell. I definitely think there was a regression. I mean, all the stats back that up, and the eye test is hard to ignore. But, he does certainly deserve some of the blame. I mean, just the running-wise, we didn't see him get out of those stacks as much as he did last year. There were plenty of wide-open passes that he just missed on. I think about that Ole Miss game where they probably have another 100 yards of offense if he kind of just hits wide-open receivers. And then, it's hard to say that his decision-making improved. You think about the fourth down against Clemson where Mo Brown was kind of running in the flats. There was a defender there. It was going to be a tough throw, but instead he kind of forces the ball in the middle to basically no one. It gets batted down. Or you think of the play that ended in the pick six where he kind of forces the ball into Nick Harbor and it gets batted and tipped for a pick six. Those are just things I don't think we saw last year. It seemed like his decision-making was almost better. Some of that's probably a product of having, Rocket Sanders out there calm some things. But the regression certainly happened, and I think he does put some blame. But I think the majority probably goes on the offensive line and Mike Shula.
And last thing before we get you out here, Jordan, obviously the offensive coordinator spot is a huge priority, right? And we talked about the struggles of the previous offensive coordinator kind of contributing to what we saw on offense. What are maybe some names that you might be hearing, and how far along do you think they are in that process?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet. Like, I haven't heard really many names coming out of it. I think I've seen on, some message boards and stuff, the Old Dominion guy, Kevin Decker, as being one that would be good. Obviously, the East Carolina guy, I'd heard his name, John David Baker, but it seems like, he could possibly go to Ole Miss. So, but I guess he probably still is somewhat of an option for South Carolina. And then, there could just be some random guys. We had made a list of, 10 names to watch and kind of threw on there, the Cincinnati offensive coordinator, the Utah offensive coordinator who recruited Lenore Sellers out of high school. It's kind of unclear if those guys are in the picture. But certainly, there are plenty of options for Shane Beamer. And then a timeline, I think they're doing interviews this week. So you would anticipate a decision by next week, kind of at the latest. It's probably got to help Shane Beamer now that, once signing day is over, that really clears up his calendar to be able to go full steam ahead on this offensive coordinator hire. So I'd be really surprised if we didn't get an answer by, kind of mid to late next week.
That's Jordan Kay from the State Newspaper. Jordan, thank you as always for joining me, man. Look forward to seeing you here soon.
Appreciate you guys.
Good stuff from Jordan. He's a winner. We'll give you our winners for today's show next.
Can't do it. I want winners.
And we're going to give Coach Mike Singletary some winners, brought to you by the Golden Spur, as we do every day. But before we do that, if a winning weekend to you sounds like free tickets to a men's basketball game, well, you're listening to the right program, because we have 2 family 4-packs of tickets to see South Carolina take on Stetson. Stetson, they are the pop quiz.
Don't know.
And close, the Hatters.
Oh, you know what?
Of course that makes
Stetson
sense.
Hatters.
I think I kind of, somewhere around, I think I might have known that at one time.
Yeah. So you can see the Hatters of Stetson take on South Carolina if you're the first 2 callers to 803-404-6100 for those family 4-packs. Stetson, you can call them the Hatters. You can also call them the Fighting Jacob DeGroms.
Let's go Hatters.
Jacob DeGrom, yeah.
Nice.
Baseball, so he's not walking through that door, and he's not playing baseball for me either. Way out of eligibility. You know, eligibility rules have kind of been a little different now than they used to be back when Jacob DeGrom was playing college baseball. But that's who South Carolina has on Saturday at 2 o'clock. But our winners for today's show, brought to you by the Golden Spur. I want to start off with the theme of the man who was just talking, Coach Mike Singletary, because today, December 3rd, 1985, 40 years ago, was when the Chicago Bears filmed the music video for the Super Bowl Shuffle. But my winner is dances in general, because we got an incredible text in the Firehouse Subs text line. This is from Mark, right? Mark goes, imagine Mark Stoops as DC and Shane and Stoops dancing together.
Hey. That sounds like a Hallmark movie.
It does kind of sound like a Hallmark movie.
Writer's room. Maybe we can mock that thing up.
You know what? I would like
2
that.
dudes from different sides of the track. Doesn't like each other.
They've had beef forever.
But they all unite under the game, brings them together. There's something there. I think we could do this. I'm going to give my winner to Curtis Blow, the singer of Basketball, Christmas Rapping, These Are the Breaks. The first bona fide rap superstar was Curtis Blow. Does not get enough props, not remembered enough, but pioneered styles, was the first commercially viable rap superstar. So Curtis Blow, always one of the greats. Shout out to you.
A+ cadence, too.
Brakes in the shore, brakes in the back, brakes in the Dusty Cadillac. Huh.
Timeless. You know what? Winner for today's show, too? Stetson Hatter baseball, because Jacob reminds me on the Firehouse Subs text line, Corey Kluber, also a Stetson Hatter.
Okay.
So honestly, for a mid-major program, has produced some really good baseball players.
All right. That's interesting. I didn't expect the Stetson Hatters to get a shout out today.
Yeah. And also, another winner brought to you by Golden Spur, ACC basketball. I think they're back a little bit.
Ooh.
I think they're back. They're up 6-3 in the ACC SEC Challenge, or SEC ACC. I know they alternate that like every other year, but
I love how the conferences are so petty. Like, our name has to be first this year.
Right.
We're going to be first this year.
It changes every other year, it seems like. But last year it wasn't even close. This year the ACC is on a little bit of a tear. Like, and honestly, for a league that has so many good traditional brands in basketball, Louisville has gotten a lot better. I think Louisville is legit one of the best teams in college basketball. They've got Arkansas tonight on the road, but North Carolina won at Kentucky last night. Duke beat defending champion Florida at home last night. We know what Virginia Tech did here. Miami beat Ole Miss last night. Syracuse at home beat Tennessee. And we had a court storming for that one. I don't know if that necessarily falls in my rules because Tennessee is outside the top 10. But you know what? That is a basketball program that is starved for big-time success, and they're an improved team. So the ACC basketball, back. I declare them back.
Okay. Except for Syracuse.
Getting there.
Okay.
Taking steps. I'll say they're taking steps.
All right. Okay.
They've abandoned the 2-3 zone.
Oh, no.
Jim Boeheim zone. No.
Jim Boeheim not walking through that door.
Moss.
All right. I'm going to give my winner to signing day.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have a lot of the juice that it used to have. It's still cool, but there was a time in college football lore where signing day was maybe bigger than the national championship.
It used
the
to have,
national championship was cool, but signing day was cool.
They used to have the all-day thing on ESPNU. That was really cool.
I mean, you find out where dudes are gonna go, all the different shenanigans that were happening. Signing day was a part of the silliness that is college football. Still a huge deal for the players, and congratulations to all of them, players and parents, for getting yourselves to this point. But maybe a little bit of the luster is not there, just because, the calendars have changed.
And fax machines aren't involved.
In fact, did we get the fax? They're waiting on the fax. Groups of people waiting on the fax.
Oh, you can't recreate that.
Can't recreate. Once I send you the DocuSign, it's not dramatic.
Yeah.
Waiting on the fax though.
Dramatic. Staring at that machine, waiting for that paper to come out. Dramatic. And we need more of that. Also, another text. Corbin says, how about World Series champ Logan Gilbert? Not World Series champion, but Logan Gilbert, pitcher for the Mariners.
Stetson Hatters are getting it like that?
Oh, they had it like that. They're winners. Terry Ford, he's a winner. He's next.